One of the biggest things about building that people just don't know about is texturing. So this wall here is made purely of spruce planks, and it looks a bit bland, it looks a bit boring, right? But this wall here is more textured and it looks better. So what's been done here is that we've taken different blocks with different textures and I've put them together in random positions to create this pattern, right? And this looks a lot more interesting than this blank wall. And this block here is the bottom of a barrel, so you've got the side texture of a barrel, you've got the top texture, and then you've got the back texture. And the back texture works very well with spruce wood because it's very similar. So that's an example of how you've got to be very creative with your block choices. And also here we've used trapdoors. And so this wall, if you had a large wall like this, a textured wall would look better than like a blank wall. Now this same technique works for floors. So as you can see here, this is quite a simple pattern. It's only got 3. And the way you make it is that you place in the main block. So here the main block would be these, the stone bricks. And then you get your other blocks, and you just start putting in the other blocks in random sort of positions. Then you get the other block, you place that in. Don't be afraid to retread blocks that you've already replaced, and you can come back with your original block and just start doing this, because what this is trial and error, and you want to get something that looks good, but the only way you're going to do that is by making it random. And so you need to just use trial and error, because you want it random, but you don't want it like actually random. You want it seemingly random, but you want to place blocks so that they look random, but they also look nice. Because if it was truly random, you could end up with stuff like a bunch of the same block at once, and that doesn't look so nice. So you want it to have the appearance of being very random, while also looking good. And as you can see here, a similar thing's been done, but I've used oak planks, beehives, and logs. The first thing you need to do is you get your main block, right? So this is the block I want my floor to look like. But then I also want, I want it to be textured. So what I would do is I'd go into the creative inventory, and we think like, what will look good with our oak planks? So we search for oak, because other oak variants might look good with oak planks. We can see the stripped oak logs. They look like they're a similar color, similar sort of texture to the oak planks, and so we can choose them. And we can use, we can just think about what blocks we know, and if we can't think of a block we know, we can just scroll one of the tabs, like the building blocks tab, or just the search tab, and we can scroll and search for something that might look nice with our oak planks. I'm actually thinking of a block, and the block is a beehive, right? So you can search for a block if you're thinking of it, and then of course we just do what we did the last time by placing it randomly. Now the beehives are another example of being creative with your block choices, because the beehive is it seems like an interesting block to use, but if you look at it, the top and the bottom texture, as you can see, it's the same texture for the top and the bottom. So the top and the bottom texture look very similar to oak planks, which means that it works very well with them, and also they work very well with these stripped oak logs. So the way that you can find what blocks look nice is that you have your main block, and then you find other blocks from the creative inventory, and then you place them next to each other to see if they work together. In this case, they do. So another example would be here, where we've got this wall, which is a lot more complicated, but we start off with just one block, right? So this is a smooth sandstone block, and then we search for sandstone, and we see, well, regular sandstone would look nice with it, cut sandstone would look nice with it, and then we just place them down next to our thing and see, do these blocks look nice with the sandstone? They do. Do they look nice with each other? They do. And now we can go and we can see, well, are there other blocks? And there are other blocks. There's birch planks, so birch planks look quite nice with this, right? As you can see, the birch planks work, and we place them down. And then we can think, well, endstone is a similar sort of color, does that look nice? And the answer to that is yes, it does look nice with our sandstone, but what it doesn't look very nice with is the birch planks. Like, it contrasts to the birch planks a lot, because the end stone is lighter than the sandstone, and the birch planks are darker than the sandstone, so when you put them together, they clash quite a bit. So to avoid that, you just don't place them directly next to each other. So as you can see, they're not often placed directly next to each other, but they are in some cases, like here and here. That's because it's not a hard rule. They don't look inherently bad next to each other. It's just they don't look as good. But if you do it like on occasions, it doesn't really matter. And as you can see, that's how you end up with this. Because if we have, I shouldn't have broken the block palette, but if we have a block palette, then what we can do is we can use this palette to create our wall. So we place in a sandstone wall, and something I should note is that texturing works better with like walls and floors and roofs that are like larger, because if it is larger, you're going to have more space to be able to just texture. So also now we've got all of our block palette blocks on our hotbar, we don't have to keep returning to it. And you just start placing in your random blocks, as I've said from before. You can choose to place multiple next to each other, or if you want it to seem even more variated, you can choose to not do that. And we place in some birch planks like so. I think maybe put some birch planks next to the next to the regular sandstone, because the regular sandstone is a bit darker than the smooth sandstone, and the birch planks is also darker. Then we can maybe put some end stone there. And as you can see, we've got a nice like thing already. Like so. Now up here we've got a nice looking wall. This is very, very complicated in that it uses lots of different colors. It uses a total of 8 different blocks. A lot of them are very similar, like we've got the exposed copper and exposed cut copper. These are very similar, but they're slightly different. And then we've got like a bunch of like sort of orangey, and we've got these more brown, light brown sort of mud. But the thing here is that it's not been completely random, in that, as you can probably notice, I've used more of the mud bricks and the packed mud down the bottom, so more of like the browny stuff down the bottom. And then as we go up, it's a bit more orangey, right? So this is still texturing, but it's also including a bit of a gradient. And gradients are quite complicated, and so as a result, they are going to get their own video. So subscribe to see that, or check out my channel page to see if I have it. And as you can see, this is what I'll be talking you through. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, consider subscribing.